6:15. 6:15. ये वाला हिंदी है महाराज. Oh Radhe. Thandi time. Okay, no problem. Sun, Jay Admi, Sab Dunia. Sab Dunia, internet say. Say hai? Nahi?
Say.
Oh, thank you. Don't hide there, Mataji. Sit there if you like. Oh, have you got chikungunya? Bad foot? Huh? Oh, Hindi nahi janta. Dirt hai? Kyun? Crack. Kali Yuga. If suffering was happiness, we'd all be in bliss. We get as much suffering as we like, but it's never happiness. That is the problem. Hare Krishna. The suffering makes us think, this is not my home. I'm not the controller. If I was controller, why I become old and sick? If I am the controller, I become happy. But we're all suffering. Why?
I don't control.
Huh?
I don't control.
You don't suffer. You're liberated. Muksha. Mukshavadi is free man. How do we become liberated? By grace of Guru and Krishna and Nam Bhajan in Kali Yuga. Correct? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Vivekacharya Thirsti Shimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Vivekacharya Thirsti Shimad Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Srila Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Sri Guru Parampara Ki Jai Vaishnavacharya Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Kajakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sabidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagradata Lagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajiva Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Prijana Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Brindavanishwari Vrishabhana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, reading from Yes, reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Translation and commentary Srila Prabhupada. Text 15, Chapter 6, Dhyan Yoga. Translation and commentary Srila Prabhupada. Please repeat. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi nichita manasaha shantim nivana paramam mat samstam adigaschati Yunjam evam sadatmanam yogi nichita manasyaha shantim nivana paramam matsamstam adigaschati Yunjam evam sadatmanam yogi nichita manasaha shantim nivanam paramam matsamstam adigaschati. Okay.
Santim nirvana paramam matsastam adhigacchati junjanevam sadatmanam injanevam sadamanam yogim niyatamanasa santim nirvana paramam matsanstam adhigacchati Injanevam sadatmanam yogi niyatamanasah santim nirvana paramam mat sansthamam adhigacchati.
TK, order. One lady. Come on, be brave. Evam atmanam yogi nityamanasa chantim nirvana paramam matstamstam adhigacchati. Better than the men, yes. Okay, so word for word, please repeat. Yunjan, practicing. Evam, as mentioned above. Sada, constantly. Atmanam, body, mind and soul. Yogi, the mystic transcendentalist. Nichita manasaha, with a regulated mind. Shantim, peace. Nirvana, paramam, cessation of material existence. Matsamstam, the spiritual sky, the kingdom of God. Adhigacchati, does attain. So, translation Srila Prabhupada. Thus practicing constant control of the body, mind and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. Please repeat. Thus practicing constant control of the body, mind and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God, the abode of Krishna, by cessation of material existence. Purport Srila Prabhupada. The ultimate goal in practicing yoga is now clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material facility. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi, according to Bhagavad Gita. Nor does cessation of material existence entail one's entering into the void, which is only a myth. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Rather, the cessation of material existence enables one to enter into the spiritual sky, the abode of the Lord. The abode of the Lord is also clearly described in the Bhagavad Gita as that place where there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. All the planets in the spiritual kingdom are self-illuminated like the sun in the material sky. The kingdom of God is everywhere, but the spiritual sky and the planets thereof are called Paramdham, or superior abodes. A consummate yogi who is perfect in understanding Lord Krishna, as is clearly stated herein by the Lord himself, Matsita Matpara Matstanam, can attain real peace and can ultimately reach his supreme abode, Krishna Loka, known as Goloka Vrindavan. In the Brahma Samhita 5.37, it is clearly stated, Goloka evi nivasati akilatma bhutaha. The Lord, although residing always in his abode called Goloka, is the all-pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma, as well as by dint of his superior spiritual energies. No one can reach the spiritual sky, Vaikuntha, or enter into the Lord's eternal abode, Goloka Vrindavan, without the proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion, Vishnu. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. Save mana Krishna padara vindayo. In the Vedas also, Shvatishvara Upanishad 3.8, we learn Tam eva vididvati mrityum eti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. Makam karochi vachalam pangam laite girid yad kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru dinatarinam. Yunjam eva sadatma yogi nichita manasaha. Shantim nivanam paramam matstanam adigashyati. Thus practicing constant control of the body, mind and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. So thus practicing control of the body, mind and activities. So the Sanskrit word is Atma. So Atma can refer to the body. If you're in the bodily consciousness, you think yourself is the body. If you're more intellectual, you think the mind is you. But the spiritualist knows that Atma is the soul, Jivatma. But Atma can be used in all those ways. But here, Prabhupada makes it very clear that Sadatma, the body, mind and soul, they are all the Atma in that sense. We are all four things. We are body, mind, soul, and we are Paramatma. Paramatma is supervising everything in the material world. So, practicing control of these items, which are our three, Paramatma we cannot control, but we can control mind, body, and soul. That is our prerogative. We have the free will. So thus, you see this? Thus practicing control, constant control of the body, mind and activities. The mystic transcendentalist, that means a transcendentalist means that, Prabhupada explains that, Paraman, Paradharm. He is focused on transcendence. Now that is the secret of all human existence, bar none, is to use the body, mind, and soul to meditate, serve, think about transcendence. Whenever we find we're disturbed or we're troubled or we're waiting in the bus stop or we have a headache, we should, whenever we have some suffering, we should think, oh, I'm suffering because I'm not being a mystic transcendentalist. I'm not fixing my mind on the absolute truth.
Who thinks like this actually?
Huh?
Who thinks, hey, a man is standing on the bus stand like me?
Yes, you should meditate. If you're in the bus stand, and the bus is late, of course, Indian time, so you should think. If you're sitting in the bus stand thinking, oh, that bus is late again, I'm late for the meeting, then you're in material anxiety. But if you're a transcendentalist, you think, Krishna Kripa. Whatever happens, happens. I'm doing my best. I'll get the bus, and that is the right time to be, you see. So then you don't... So all suffering in this world should be a reminder to us to put the consciousness on the lotus feet of Krishna. You understand? That's the purpose of suffering. To make us realize this world is not our home. Okay, this world is not my home. So, but what is my home? The transcendental world. This is what this verse is about. That if you constantly control your body, mind and senses, if you use suffering as an impetus to remember the Supreme Lord and His Leela, then you're going to that place. You may not be a perfect yogi and fly in the sky and create a planet. But if you are sincere, if your bhava is sincere, I want to serve Krishna, I don't want this world, Krishna will take you from the material world. That is the special facility of Bhakti Yoga. I'm always saying that. Bhakti Yoga means you rely on Krishna's mercy. And that is manifest through the devotees. Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha. So, the Vaishnava is the ocean of the mercy. Krishna is Samaham Sarvabhuteshu. He's equal to everyone. So he has to be equal. But he's specially favorable to his devotees through his devotee. He's God. He has to be impartial, like the judge. But Krishna gives his mercy. Sri Chaitanya Kripa Baro Bhuvi Bhuvo Paravahantarako. 6 Goswami Astakam. The 6 Goswamis, because of their purity, they were the vessel of the mercy. So that is the nature of the Vaishnava. So that is the cause of attaining bhakti, the mercy of a devotee. Prabhupada went to the West. Why did everyone become devotee? By his grace, by his sangha. Sadhu sangha, sava shastra hoy. Lava mata sadhu sangha, sava siddhi hoy. There's the proof of it. He went to America, USA, South America, everywhere he went, devotees appeared. Why? Because of his sadhu sangha. Simple as that. That is scientific proof. So the real business is to become a sadhu. And now, this other point is here, by constant control of mind, body and senses. Right? These are our 3 things. We can't control Paramatma. He's Parameshwara. We can entreat Paramatma or Krishna. Please help me in this way. But we can control our mind and senses, at least to some extent. So how is it controlled, and how is the consciousness, the mind, body and senses, the soul, how is it put on Krishna? By attraction. Whatever we're attracted to, our consciousness naturally goes there. Krishna means all attractive. So the more you are realized in Krishna, the more attractive Krishna will be to you. Attraction to Krishna and realization of Krishna go hand in hand. And then when we are attracted to Krishna, consciousness flows towards Krishna. Just like the Ganga flows to the sea, the consciousness flows towards Krishna. And then the mind and senses and our material facility is used in his service. So the job is to fix the mind on consciousness, the consciousness on Krishna. And how is that done in Kali Yuga? Recommended process, Shravanam. We should learn Siddhanta. We should learn Sambandha Adibhidaya Prayoja. And then we should chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And at the same time, we should try to live pure life. No rumour mongering, no bad speaking, no anger, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. We should try to live pure life. And chant Hare Krishna and study the Shastra. Study the Shastra, learn the Leela of Krishna, associate with Sangha, sadhus, and then you go back to Godhead. It's as simple as that. Don't think, oh, I haven't attained Prem Bhakti. I haven't attained Swarup Siddhi. I don't know exactly what my Swarup is. Don't worry about that. Krishna will give you everything in the right time and the right place. He's got it all in his notebook. He has a notebook, and in that notebook is every devotee's name, and there's a date when he will reveal himself to that devotee. He already knows when you're ready. He's put it in his notebook. So we just do that way. We just try to be nice devotee, spreading the holy name, spreading Siddhanta, and Krishna will take care of everything. Then we're part of the family of Krishna. If you have a good father and you're in a nice family, you don't worry about everything, do you? You just think that's the father's business. So it's Krishna's business to take you back to Godhead. You don't have to go back to Godhead on your own energy. It says here, it'll become more developed in the 8th chapter, Attaining the Supreme. Right? His mind regulated how? By attraction to Krishna. This is bhakti. Of course, this is referring to the regulation of the yoga processes. You know it. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, jhana, dharana, samadhi. What are they? Yama, things you do. Niyama, things you don't do. 3, asana. Make the body good for meditation. Stretch it all out. Make it healthy. Pranayam. Pranayam to control the mind and by breathing exercises. And then pratyahara. Withdrawing from the external world. Right? Bahirmukh. Looking at the material world, trying to enjoy. Withdraw that. Come within the mind. Become antarmukh. Oh, yes. Now I'm feeling that bliss of Brahman, the spiritual energy. So then what do? Jhana. I contemplate the absolute truth. Guru said, Vishnu's form is like this. Krishna's form is like this. Krishna's always Radharani. Gonitai is always with Nityananda. They're dancing in ecstasy. There is Advaitacharya. There's Gadadhar Pandit. There is Srivas Pandit. There's the sadhus. They're dancing in ecstasy. And they're within my heart. And they're doing the bhajan of Krishna in their Sankirtan. Contemplation. Dhyan. You draw up from your memory ideas. And then dharana means what? It means flow. And the example is given in the Shastra. If you put oil on the wall, it will flow in a constant stream. If you put water, it'll go into drops. But if you put oil, you can try it. The temple commander won't mind. You put oil on the wall and it'll come down smoothly in one line. That is dharana. So first contemplation. Krishna Nam, Krishna Rupa, Krishna Leela, Krishna Sangha, Krishna Kripa, like this. Contemplation. And then dharana. You will get attraction. Oh, it's so nice. Krishna, he's stealing the butter. And Mother Yashoda, they're having a wonderful pastime of love. Oh, Krishna's playing the flutes. And the gopis are hearing the flute. And they think, oh, Krishna wants us to dance with him. He wants to see us. We'll go. So that's dharana. So then samadhi means unification of consciousness, very close, intimate remembrance, fixed. So that is the mystic transcendentalist, that is Siddha. Oh, he's always thinking of Krishna, and everything is related, Vasudeva Savamiti. Automatically he sees everything in relationship to Krishna. Materialist, what is he doing? He's everything in relation to me. He's speaking about me. He's speaking about me. He doesn't like me. Or she likes me. Maybe. Anyway, he's thinking relative to himself in this material world. But the devotee is thinking, Krishna, through bhava, through prem, Krishna, tomorrow I belong to you, Krishna, and you belong to me. So he's thinking that is samadhi. So we should understand that. That is prayojan. We should have that in our loving bhakti. His mind regulated by attraction attains to the kingdom of God. Right? The abode of Krishna by the cessation of material existence. Yes. So it says here, it's changed now, but it says in the, Nirvana Paramam. Nirvana. So that is, Nirvana is a Buddhistic concept. That's how Buddhism was said to be Vedic, because Buddha said, don't follow the Vedas, follow me. The Vedas are telling you to do yajnas and no, just follow me. So, and I recommend that nirvana, cessation of material existence. But then the Pandits came back later and they said, you say reject the Vedas, but where are you getting the idea of nirvana from? That is from the Vedas, nirvana. So, what is the vana? That is I thought we would today bring in the Bhagavatam. And it says here, chapter 14, canto 5, Bhagavatam, the material world as the great forest.
10 to 5, chapter
14.
Next, 5:14.
Well, we haven't started yet. I'm at the beginning of the chapter. We'll get to number 1 in a moment. So, chapter is entitled, The Material World is the Great Forest of Enjoyment. So this is the Vana, right? This is Vrindavan, forest of Vrinda. Tulsi Maharani, forest of Prem, the forest of love of Krishna, forest of Bhakti Devi, Srimati Radharani. So this material world that you are all liberated from is the forest of enjoyment, right? We've explained this. Ishwaropi, we try to be controller. Krishna is Ishwara Parama. We try to be controller, and then we try to be aham bhogi, enjoy. Control, enjoy. Control, enjoy. I get a television, I've got the remote controller. I get some article, I try to enjoy, and I try to control. So, by yoga, this is Ashtanga yoga here. Everything is in the Gita. But later, your devotees, you know that bhakti is the purpose. So, in this 14th chapter, chapter 1, verse 1, the forest of material enjoyment. So it's not really enjoyment, but it's the spirit soul tries to enjoy in this world. So text number 1. We'll go through it quite quickly. Of course, it's a great chapter, and I recommend everyone. There are about 40 verses. Let's see exactly. There are 46 verses. When King Parikshit asked Sukadev Goswami about the direct meaning of the material forest, Sukadev Goswami replied as follows. So this is a story. In English it's called allegory. It's a story that teaches a certain point or idea. My dear king, a man belonging to the mercantile community, Vanik, is always interested in earning money. As they say in India, baniya. He's always interested in getting money. Sometimes he enters the forest to acquire some cheap commodities like wood and earth and sell them in the city at good prices. So he enters the forest. Now, some people say we haven't entered the forest. That is not what Bhagavatam says. That's not what Krishna says. It's not what Sukadeva Goswami says. It says we enter the forest. Some people say we have always been in the material world. We are Nityabada, and that means we've always been in the material world. We've never fallen, but of course, we have fallen. All the acharyas talk about the fallen soul. The question is, where have we fallen from? But we have fallen by choice. So he's earning money. Sometimes he enters the forest to get cheap things and then sell them at a profit. What is this? Fruitive activity. I'll get some wood. This is the basic principle if you want to be a good businessman. Very easy. You buy cheap here and you sell costly here. And you better calculate your transport and your fooding cost. Buy cheap at one place, sell more costly at another. So, business class. No need for 3 years in college. Sometimes he enters the forest, so he gets cheap things in the forest. Wood, earth is there. But he's using his labor, and then he's selling them in the marketplace. Gradually he enters the deepest part of the forest, not really knowing how to get out. Right? So he's greedy for fruitive activities. It's getting more and more darker. So a child is a very nice little child running here and there. But sometimes a greedy man becomes more and more greedy. He goes deeper into the forest and he's ready to do anything. But he doesn't really know how to get out. He's become a criminal, bank robber, a liar, a cheater. He's going deeper into the forest. Having entered the material world, the pure soul becomes conditioned by a material atmosphere. He's in the material forest, which is created by the external energy under the control of Lord Vishnu. Thus the living entity comes under the control, becomes of the external energy, Daivi Maya. Living independently or bewildered in the forest, he does not attain the association of devotees who are always engaged in the service of the Lord. So he goes into this forest and he's looking for profit. He doesn't gain the association of devotees. That's not his focus. He's going deeper in the forest. He gets different, once in the bodily conception, he gets different types of body, one after another, under the influence of material energy. So that's reincarnation. He gets different bodies. If he acts very sinfully, he go to Narak and he get a low-class body. He may get animal body. So he's going through all these changes. He's deep now in the forest. In this way, sometimes he goes to heavenly planets. Sometimes he gives in charity, becomes a good man. Sometimes he goes to earthly planets and sometimes to lower planets and lower species. That's also another point. Many people think, oh, once I've become a human body, I'll reincarnate as a human. No, you can go down into the material sphere again. I mean, the lower bodies. He suffers continuously due to different types of bodies. Every body, like you look at the dog, the monkey, the horse, the camel, they're all suffering in their own way. And we're suffering in our way. Now it's chikungunya, next week it'll be a cough. Whatever, we're always suffering. These sufferings and pains are sometimes mixed, sometimes very severe, and sometimes they are not. These bodily conditions are acquired due to the conditioned soul's mental speculation. He's speculating what to do, performing activities, and then getting a karmic reaction. He uses his mind and senses to acquire knowledge, and these bring about different bodies and different conditions. You think, oh, I love surfing, I love swimming, I love diving. So next life, what will he be? A dolphin. Or if he's very lucky, a big whale. Or a shark. Whatever. He wants to go hang gliding. You know, like flying in the sky. What will he become? Krishna will give him, okay, you can become an albatross and flow in the sky. Using senses under the control of external energy, the living entity suffers the miserable conditions of material existence. That means birth, death, old age, and disease. Right? If you look at the dog getting old, so when he's young, he's running around wagging his tail. When he's an old man, he's thinking, God, I hope I get run over. This is too much. Right? He's actually searching for relief. So he's looking for nirvana. He wants freedom from this suffering. But he's generally baffled, although sometimes he is relieved after great difficulty. Struggling for existence in this way, he cannot get the shelter of pure devotees who are like bumblebees engaged in the loving service at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. So that's a general picture. And then it's a difference. Now the details are given. In the forest of material existence, the uncontrolled senses, this is somebody in the material world, are like plunderers. Right? We don't like plunderers, thieves. Nobody likes thieves. They steal things. But the senses are content to plunderers. Why? Because they steal our possibility, our spiritual consciousness. They pull us. Oh, the tongue is pulling us to drink daru and take this and do that and eat meat and this. They're plundering us. They're not our friend. They're thieves. But unfortunately, the uncontrolled senses plunder his money through sense gratification. Right? He spends all his money. Oh, I've got money now. I'll do this. I'll do that. The senses are plunderers because they make one spend his money unnecessarily for seeing, smelling, touching, hearing, desiring and willing. Yes. So people who like drugs, they spend all their money on drugs. And the wife is very frustrated because she wants a new sari. But the husband is spend it on drugs. In this way, the conditioned soul is obliged to gratify his senses, that's all he knows, and all his money is spent. This money is actually acquired for the execution of religious principles, but is taken away by the plundering senses. So instead of spending his money for a yajna, for a donation to a good cause, maintaining the temple, he spends it in a bad way. The family members, now this is not very nice, but the Bhagavatam is the Amalaparan. The family members in this material world go under the name of wife and children, but actually they behave like tigers and jackals. A herdsman tries to protect his sheep to the best of his ability, but the tiger and foxes take them away by force. Similarly, although a miserly man wants to guard his money very carefully, his family members take away all his assets forcibly, even though he's very vigilant. So he's trying to protect his money. But then the wife says, we've got to send the daughter to college to study gender dysphoria or something like. It'll cost $200,000. Okay. 3 years later, the daughter comes back. She was a beautiful, pretty girl. She comes back with a nose ring, pink hair, and hating men, because women are exploited by men since the beginning of time. And she learns that for $200,000 in the college. And she hates her dad because he's repressing her. So that is the modern world. So, similarly, yes, right, even though vigilant. Every year the ploughman ploughs over his grain field, completely uprooting all weeds. Nonetheless, the seeds lie there and not completely burned, again come up, and the plants grow in the field. Even after being ploughed under, the weeds come up densely. Similarly, the Grihastha Ashram, family life, is a field of fruitive activity. So people are meant to control their senses. They get married and they're supposed to live a disciplined life in Grihastha Ashram. But the seeds of material enjoyment pop up. The children come, status, money, they become distractions. So they are the weeds coming again. Even though you've ploughed over, you got married in the temple, you took vows, you had a nice wife, but still, the material sense enjoyment is there, so still I exploit it. The weeds. Even though a camphor may be removed from a pot, still the smell is there. Now, more description, detail. Sometimes the conditioned soul in household life, being attached to material wealth and possession, is disturbed by gadflies and mosquitoes. Sometimes locusts, birds of prey, and rats give him trouble. Nonetheless, he still wanders down the path of material existence. So what are all those? The flies and rats, they are envious people. In this material world, you're always going to find people who hate you, who are envious. So they're compared to mosquitoes and rats. Envious people are always going to find you and, you don't put your tilak on properly. You don't tie your dhoti properly. I saw you sleeping in Mangalarti time. So that is, they're compared to birds of prey, rats, mosquitoes. We're always surrounded by some bad people. Yes. Because his mind is absorbed, he sees the material world as permanent, but it's actually just a dream. Sometimes in this house, in the sky, Gandharvapura, the conditioned soul drinks, eats, and has sex. Being overly attached, he chased it after objects of senses, just as a deer chases a mirage in the desert. That's also, that analogy is given at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, that the deer, he wants to drink water, so he sees a mirage in the desert, and he thinks, look, there's water. He runs towards it. So the living entity, he's in the house he's built in the material forest, and he's trying to enjoy, and it's a phantasmagoria, it's a temporary thing, but he's looking for some enjoyment, like the deer chasing water in the desert. Sometimes the living entity is interested in the yellow stool known as gold and runs after it. That gold is the source of material opulence and envy. I've got gold. And it can enable one to afford illicit sex. I've got money, I can have lots of women. Gambling. I can eat meat. I can take intoxication, I've got money. Right? That's what happens. These pop stars, movie stars, whatever, they get money, and what do? They become very degraded by taking drugs and having sex and going here and there. Eventually they have to go to rehab. But which means they didn't want to have it anyway, but they have to do that. But it's too late, they're addicted. So those whose minds are overcome by passion are attracted by the color of gold. That's interesting. Just as a man suffering from cold in the forest runs after a phosphorescent light in the marshy land, consider it to be a warming fire. Sometimes the conditioned soul is finding places to live. He runs through the forest trying to get things to build another house. Sometimes as if blinded by the dust of a whirlwind. When there is a sandstorm, we become blinded by the sand. The conditioned soul sees the beauty of the opposite sex, which is called pramada. Being thus bewildered, he is raised upon the lap of a woman, and at that time his good senses are overcome by the force of passion. He thus becomes almost blind with lust desire and disobeys the rules and regulations governing household life. He does not know that his disobedience, so that's another thing, is being witnessed by different demigods in the night. He thinks, oh, nobody is seeing me doing illicit sex or this and that. It's at night. I've closed the door. I'm not going to tell anyone. But the demigods see everything. The conditioned soul sometimes personally appreciates the futility. Yes, he understands the futility of sense enjoyment, and sometimes he considers material enjoyment to be full of misery. So that is, right? Can you see how brilliant the Bhagavatam is? So he's enjoying all these things. He's gone into the forest to get the profit. He's building a house. He's looking for gold, getting a wife. He's chasing this. But then sometimes he appreciates the futility of sense enjoyment. I've had all this, and I've been drinking and smoking and taking intoxicants, but I don't feel good. He sometimes considers material enjoyment to be full of misery. So, by enjoying too much, right? Like the man who drinks a lot. The next day he wakes up and he thinks, oh, I'll never drink again. Right? But then the next evening. But still again and again he runs after material enjoyment just as an animal runs after a mirage in the desert. Sometimes he's very aggrieved by the chastisement of government, servants and enemies, and he takes harsh words. At that time his ears are very saddened, and it must be compared to the sound of owls and crickets. So if he's pious, he gets material facility, and then sometimes, though, he has to mix with people who are compared to impure, thorny trees. Now sometimes to get away from the suffering, Bhagavatam says here, the conditioned soul goes to atheist or fake sadhu, and he says, please help me, I've got this problem. And then the sadhu says, don't worry, for 1 lakh I will do a fire yajna and your suffering will be gone. This is exactly like jumping into a shallow river. As a result, one simply breaks his head. He's not able to mitigate the suffering from the heat or the cold of the river, and he also approaches sadhus and swami who preach against the principle of the Vedas, right? The fake swamis. Just like in today's verse, Prabhupada explains that some of the swamis, they say, oh, do yoga and do meditation and you'll become more strong and healthy. But that is not the purpose of yoga. The purpose of yoga is Krishna Prem. So these fake sadhus and swamis, he's in the material world, he's suffering now. You see how the Bhagavatam is giving different ways people try to enjoy or mitigate the suffering by yajnas or sadhus or taking advice, philosophers. In this material world, when the conditioned soul cannot arrange his own maintenance, Despite exploiting others, he tries to exploit his own father or son, taking away that relative's possessions. So sometimes he becomes poor and he has to beg off his own son or cheat his own mother or whatever. He cannot acquire things, and then he is very angry if they don't give him. In this world, family life is exactly like a blazing fire in the forest. You see, in the forest sometimes the fire comes. It is not the least happiness, and gradually one becomes more and implicated in unhappiness. In household life, there's nothing favorable for perpetual happiness. Being implicated in household life, the fire is burned. The man fire burns in the fire. And then it's explained, government men come forward. And they're just like carnivorous demons called Rakshasas. These government men turn against the soul and take away all his accumulated wealth, right? The taxman. The taxman comes, oh, you've got $1 million. I want half in tax. Right? The taxman. Everyone knows the taxman. Nobody likes the taxman. But the taxman will take all your money, and what will he do? Will he make a new road, a new temple, or a new park, or a nice clean the Yamuna, or even sweep the road? No. He'll put it all in his pocket, and he'll make bombs and make war. He's a Rakshasa. So the Rakshasa is Tamagun. So the Rakshasas, government people in Kali Yuga, they only have plans to destroy their enemies. They have billions of dollars, but do they say, oh, we're coming to your country to make a hospital and a health system, and we're going to give you dental machinery free? No, they say, you do what we told you, or else we'll blow you, we'll vaporize you with our bombs. That's what's going on in Kali Yuga. So he becomes bereft of all enthusiasm. So then he tries to get relief, and he becomes swallowed by the python. He goes to sleep and he thinks, oh, let me forget the world. And this is like a python that swallows up a man. And he feels happiness in this dream, away from the world. The taxman hasn't got me when I'm asleep. In household one is perform many yagyas, get married, sons and daughters, this is compared to a big hill. A man is in household life, he's got to get the daughter married, the son has got to get a job, this. So this is compared to like climbing a mountain. So the man is like, gee, when does it end? He has to climb over the hill. And then while he's doing this, he's getting thorns and in his body and pebbles in his feet, and he cannot get over the hill. Sometimes due to bodily hunger and thirst, the conditioned soul becomes so disturbed that he loses his mind and becomes angry with his son's daughters. Thus being unkind to them, he suffers all the more. So, Sukadeva Goswami continued speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, my dear king, sleep is exactly like a python. This is the ultimate escape. People take drugs so they can sleep. Oh, give me some, doctor, give me a sleeping pill. So they take the sleeping pill. I feel better, doctor. I don't feel anything. Even the wife likes me now. Maybe. I know it's funny, but it's sad, isn't it? The only way you can take it is by making fun of it. But then that's where the python, you see. Being bitten by the python, they're always in darkness. They're like dead bodies thrown in a distant forest. Thus the conditioned soul cannot understand what is going on in life. You know, like they have the zombie movies. You know the zombie movies? People get bitten by another zombie. They become turned into a zombie. And they go all around biting other people, making them zombies. So that's material life. It's a zombie life. In the forest of the material life world, the conditioned soul is sometimes bitten by envious enemies, which are compared to serpents, envious people. Tricks of the enemy, he loses his position, his money, he cannot even sleep properly. Thus he becomes more and more unhappy and gradually loses his intelligence and consciousness. In that state he becomes almost perpetually like a blind man who has fallen into the dark well of ignorance. So then he's attracted the little happiness of sex life and some idea of his children going up. Learned scholars and translators therefore condemn the materialistic path of fruitive activity because it is the original source and breeding ground of material miseries both in this life and the next. So that's the condemnation of fruitive activity. How do you lose the fruitive activity impetus? That is there in all conditioned souls. The Maya Shakti gives the conditioned souls two things. He becomes godless. He doesn't know the absolute truth. And he becomes fruitive in his activity. He wants to enjoy this world. That is the effect of the Maya Shakti. So the fruitive activities, you can see, the Bhagavatam is explaining, you can get drawn in very deeply. Just think of all the sinful people that we've seen in the last 100 years. Stalin, killing millions of people, Pol Pot, communists, killing millions and millions of people. You cannot imagine how much suffering they will go through. You can go so deep in this material world that it is impossible to get out, practically speaking. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya has given the way out of this material world, very simple. Jagai and Madai, Magrari the hunter. Everyone can become liberated, even if you're Stalin or Pol Pot. How? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Huh? So this is, I encourage you all to read that chapter, chapter 14, Canto 5. You will never want to be a materialist if you read that chapter and read the purports. It is the full elucidation of the material entanglement. So if we just learn renunciation on one hand and attachment to Krishna on the other, that is the perfection of yoga. Detachment from the material world by attachment to the name, form, qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, thank you all very much for the class. I hope you're all very happy now. Because we have a way out. You're very fortunate souls. You're in Vrindavan. So you're on the right path. So Prabhupada wanted us to go and do street Sankirtan. Because when people hear the holy name, even if they're Stalin or Pol Pot, or President Bush, they start to think, maybe there's something more. Maybe I should become a Hare Krishna. So that will save them. So thank you all very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada